William Cook, and this is my final multimedia presentation, and I'm going to be going over the Somalia country, the Somali nation, and a couple introductory thoughts that I want to bring to the viewer's attention is we hear about Somalia, we see it, and as you'll see in the presentation, there is plenty to assist Somalia to thrive. You know, it's the longest coastal nation in Africa. It is prime for exports through its natural resources. It's got cattle, bananas, and cinnamon, spices, frankincense, everything that are considered luxury items since the ancient times. So with all of these tools and items for them to flourish and having immediate access to the Indian Ocean, India, southwestern Asia, and right in the Horn of Africa, you have to ask yourself exactly why are they unable to flourish. And I think you'll get the answer with this presentation. I hope you enjoy. I'm William Cook, and today we'll be talking about the Federal Republic of Somalia. We'll start with the music because that's what you're hearing in the background. It is a common Somali sound that you'll be hearing. This is produced by Hans Zimmer. He utilized the flute, oud, and percussion instruments that are common in Somalia today. In the 1930s, during the scramble for Africa, Britain came to Somalia, and that's when the music started to flourish in Somalia. It wasn't real well known back then, but the part of the British Somaliland conquering involved the music being a little bit more exposed. Somalia is the longest coastal nation in Africa. It consists mainly of deserts, mountains, highlands, and plains, a little bit of everything. And the capital is Mogadishu, as you see down in the south portion of Somalia. The two main rivers that run through are the Juba River and the Shabelle River. As you can imagine, water plays a huge role in almost every aspect of Somalia, to include trade and travel. Now, the first Somalia art that was discovered was in the form of rock paintings around 1903, and it was found in the Las Gil caves, and that is in the northern portion of Somalia. Now, as you see, most of them were depicted about animals, and they were draped in luxury items. Now, this could be hints to their early times with the Phoenicians and the Egyptians, showing a little bit of worship towards animals. As you see, it also gives clues towards hunting and civil life back in the day. A thing to consider about trade with Somalia is that it is the longest coastal nation of Africa, so as you can imagine, trade flourished. Now, historically, the initial trade was with India. Natural resources that grow in Somalia were considered luxury items, such as cinnamon, so the demand was high. Located in the Horn of Africa, gives access to many different countries, a couple of which are the main exports today of banana and cattle, and that goes to the UAE and Yemen as their main contributors. Now, while trade has gone away recently, it has been at its highest point since 2006 with its exportation of cattle. The reason for it to go away was piracy. The coastal waters have been a high impact for piracy in the immediate past. Outside world is not a friendly history. The original outside contact was with the Arab slave trade, and that lasted until about the 1900s. The most recent outside contact was from the scramble for Africa, where, as you can see, the British and the Italian armies invaded and took control of the land and conquered. As you see here, the Somalian people were incorporated into the army known as the Somalia Camel Corps. Now, the British and Italian control of Somalia lasted until after World War II, and it fell with fascism, where they regained their land. Now, Somalia was then divided into two, Somaliland being the northern portion, were formerly known as British Somalia. In 1960, they redeclared their independence. The Federal Republic of Somalia currently has a federal parliamentary representative democratic government. Somalia is based on a bicameral legislature in which the House consists of 2 seats, the upper and the lower seats. Now, Sharia law is the law of the land, and it reflected as such in their 2012 constitution. However, in 2015, they tried to remedy this to make it more friendly. Historically, there's only been one Catholic cathedral, and it was located in Mogadishu, which was destroyed in the Civil War by Al-Shabaab. It started in the 1990s, and it's continuing today. What Al-Shabaab is, it's a radicalized Islamic terror group, which is why it's currently on the travel ban, because it is a mass producer of radicalized terrorists. Now, as you can see in the blue, that is where Al-Shabaab presence is. And as you see here, the gray areas is what Al-Shabaab currently controls. So that's Somalia in a nutshell. And as you can see, the main problem, the main contribution to hindering the ability for Somalia to flourish is the presence of a radicalized religion. In this case, Al-Shabaab, that's been around since the early 90s and was a major presence of the Civil War. And when they seemed to go away, there was the birth of Al-Qaeda. And when Al-Qaeda seemed to be going away, it was the ISIS coming out and Al-Shabaab coming back. Now, how were they able to have such an influence? Well, the answer is the Islamic Courts Union. They had a part in the government, and that allowed for Sharia law to take place and the intolerance of other religions. Now, while more portions of Somalia today are trying to separate themselves from that, and they still fight the war today, that is the main contribution of why Somalia cannot flourish, is because of the presence of radical Islamic terrorism. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Again, I'm William Cook, and God bless.